Economics and politics are the foundation of human development.
While forming the world's earliest civilizations, Africans also laid the groundwork for the creation of economic systems.
By learning from our history, we gain the strength to empower the present and design the future. Presenting the premier forum for truth, culture, and change. HAPI Talks. Join us as we unlock the secrets to our success. Peace, family. It's so nice to be here. It's always nice to be here doing HAPI Talks. If you're up in the Northeast right now, I know that you are a little cold, but not like Detroit. Listen, prayers out to everyone in Detroit. I saw that I-75 was shut down because of the snow and the ice and things like that. So you guys, I hope you are warm and safe right now. All right. So tonight, this is going to be a good show. It's like we are ending the year with a powerful show with a powerful guest. He's about to be our new resident scholar. So we're leaving the show. I mean, we're leaving 2025 with Dr. Moore, and then we will be coming into the new year with a new guest. And so it's this is going to be a very powerful time for us family to really get moving and get on our grind, start knowing ourselves so we can become stronger and make our family stronger, then our community stronger. So, that is the plan. That is the HAPI plan. It's always been a HAPI plan. So I want to thank every single person for tuning in live and being here with us in real time. We don't take that lightly here at HAPI Land. Your presence really matters. Before we get started, I want to ask that you like, share, and comment on this video. Now, it's important to not only like it, but to actually write some words, okay? Because when you do that, you help this conversation reach way more people, and the algorithm doesn't move the movement. The people move the movement, and you are the HAPI movement. Okay, if you have bought a t-shirt from us, if you came to a conference that we have, if you've traveled with us, if you tuned into one HAPI Talks, read a page of this newsletter, you are part of the HAPI movement. And I want to just, talk to the family for a moment. So last week, 2 weeks ago, we did our first in-studio HAPI Talks with another resident scholar, Professor James Small. So we wanted to get your comments and your thoughts about how the show went. The energy in that room, it was way different. It was not only uplifting, but it was transformative and reminded us of what's possible when intention, scholarship, and community all come together in the same space. But also, it must be noted that this moment was made possible because of community support. And we want to say thank you to those who specifically donated towards the studio rental. Okay, we made a lot of calls and several people responded, but there were some people that we want to give a special acknowledgement out to. And that's Patricia Daniels. We want to thank you for your $100 donation. Carol Walker, thank you for your $200 donation. And Patricia Lewis, thank you for your $100 donation. And I tell you, this is community support really means a lot to us. And at any point that anyone that's listening to this show or seeing anything that we do, at any point that you donate or you support us, it goes a long way. And support, sometimes you don't have $100, $200 or whatever, but you do have the ability to like this, like what we're doing, comment and share it and give it to somebody else. But we 100% appreciate monetary gifts as well, because it goes towards all these things that we've been doing. It's your generosity. It brings vision. It brings our vision to life. And we are deeply, deeply grateful. And that's from myself, that's from Hassan, and that's also from Taki. And so if you want to contribute and give some HAPI love, you can donate by hitting our Cash App at $HAPI Film. You can donate by or support by going to PayPal at happyfilm@gmail, or you can hit us up on the super chat, which is only on YouTube. Okay. So feel free to support in any way that you can. And just really know that that money goes directly to what you saw 2 weeks ago. A very intimate conversation with Professor James Small. And family, please, those, I think we have reels going out, and we still, it's still up on YouTube. Leave your comments and tell us what you think about the show, the look, and what was said. It was such a powerful conversation with Professor. Now, for those of you that may be new to HAPI, I don't know how somebody's new to HAPI, but you may be some new people to HAPI. HAPI began as an award-winning documentary, HAPI, From Crops to Stocks, which explores the role of economics in the development of civilization. Now, you can watch it on Amazon Prime, Tubi, Quayle TV, and we encourage you to check it out and share it with someone who's ready for a deeper conversation. We also want to let you know that HAPI merchandise, as you can tell right here, it's on sale. It's available. We have a clearance sale going on. You can purchase it from our store. And that's another way that you can support the work and help us continue producing this content. And don't forget our HAPI newsletter. It's one of the best ways, okay, hands down best way to stay connected to what's coming next. Our next newsletter will be January 5th. And we also want you to know that you can also advertise in the newsletter. We had a guest, we had Ione, had a full page article. Like, what she's doing is dope. You'll see her in studio sessions sometime next year as well. Sometime next year sounds so far away, but in a couple days. We have her, we've had countless people that are advertising and getting their work out. But also, it's just what Dr. Claude Anderson has already reminded us, is that independent news media is something that we must build and support. And the HAPI newsletter is just part of that work. So we encourage you to engage with it. Share the information, read the articles, click the links. And if you have an article or a resource that you think, or any type of offering that you believe that may benefit the family, please send it. Okay. Lucio, who, my man from Chicago, but I think you guys know him as Wolfman Lou on all the chats. He's written a book, but his pieces that he does on Facebook, they're good. And so we've published a couple of them. Stephen Gray, he's a poet who actually went on one of the trips with us. To his last trip, Ghana to Egypt. He came with us, and he's like clearly a poet with a book. He sent us some poems, and we've included them. So family, it's really about, this is something that we're doing, but it's all about the family. So it's not just like our voice that we want to get out here, but it's the community voice. So family, please feel free, to send things. And we also want you to know that, again, that the support that you give, it goes directly to people who are making this happen. So like our cameraman, the editor, the rental space studio, the support from the community is deeply important to us, and it is truly appreciated. So as we look ahead, like I said, we're ending the year strong, okay? Melanin strong with Dr. T. Owens Moore, okay? And we're starting the new year off with someone who's equally this is like a little we're having a Mayadian experience right now. So we're leaving the year with Dr. T. Moore, and we're going to start the year with Queen Afua. So this is this evolution that we're in right now is really powerful, and it's very important that that you guys are a part of it, and that you continue to be a part of what we're doing. Queen of Four, she's going to be our next in studio guest. Her video drops on January 6th, 2026. I tell you, she's a dope chick. Okay, I know that sounds like I'm not trying to belittle her or nothing like that, but Queen of Four she's that girl. This video, you're going to see why she's that girl. We're going to be talking about, in fact, my colleague Hassan will be doing the pleasures of interviewing her. It's HAPI Talks with Queen of Four. It's the making of a medicine woman initiated by life. Okay, this is going to be a very good show coming up. And the other piece, and let me just take this off the let me take this off while I say this, because I need everybody to hear me when I say this. Okay, all people in the chat right now, so you guys know what time it is. This show, we're going to have in studio show, and they're going to do a show on January 11th. I'm telling you right now, family, make sure you are in on that show live. Okay, because we got some good, fun things happening. Okay, so family, make sure that you tune in to, and it's important that you check out Queen of Four's video on January 6th, and that you come for the live virtual session that we're going to have on January 11th. I'm going to tell you now, listen, don't be texting me afterwards talking about, oh, I did not. You better be live with us on January 11th. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in my esteemed colleague, who was quickly becoming like my little brother, who I'm going to fight all the time. But my man Hassan.
Peace. What's good?
What's good? All right. Habari Ghani. I know. I saw that.
Nia, purpose.
Yes, purpose. And you know what? This is such a good show right now, because this is about purpose. It's about our purpose.
Yes.
You know. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to actually turn this over to you, Sir Hassan. And I'm so happy that this is so cool, you know, that you started off with us this year, and like you're ending the show for this year. Like, and then you started a new show. Like, that's what's up, family.
No, that's dope.
Yeah. Yeah. I love
that show with Queen. That's a special show right there. It's definitely a special show. She got some real good energy. You know, I got a chance to chop it up with her behind the scenes, and she's, like you said, she's dope.
Yeah, and
dope.
Yeah, and see, because we've had Queen on the show before, but the thing about it is that, you know, it's like a little virtual show, and virtual shows are cool, right? Because we get it. It's they both serve their purpose. It's really nice because when people come on virtually, every single person, you know, like if there's somebody we want to talk to in Africa or like Atlanta, like Dr. Moore, we can, you know, still get at them, right? It's nothing like, you know, the person sitting right up in the studio, like with you, and it experiencing, you know, them, and you know, it's just a different conversation that kind of comes out.
Yeah, so, we definitely gonna have to start making some moves and traveling and reaching out to these people, actually, you know, coming on their block, pull up on their block.
I was about to say, we need to start rolling up. We might have to roll up on Dr. Moore at this little Pigment Power conference and be like, yo, what's good? Here's the HAPI cameras. Let's get it in.
I'm with that.
Yes. All right. So, okay, well, you just have a good show, Hassan.
Listen, before we start, let me just give the concept for Nia for today, for purpose, for Kwanzaa. All right, I'm gonna read something that I have here because I have all of them written down because I can't memorize them. You know what I'm saying? So I just recently started, you know, engaging myself more into Kwanzaa, so I don't know it repetitiously. You know what I'm saying? So let me just read it right here for you. Okay. So the principle for today is Nia, which means purpose, to make our collective vocation the building and development of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. Okay, so you know, it's not, see, Kwanzaa is And shout out to my boy Jamed. That's my brother right there. I was at his Kwanzaa celebration. His family has been celebrating Kwanzaa and having an actual event in their crib for 50 years.
Damn. I mean, did they started with Dr. Milana Karenga?
Pretty much.
Yes. Because I was on an event. I was at an event online and I saw John Med's mama there with Dr. Milana Karenga. Okay. That's what's up.
Yes. She is greatness to me and my family. She's brought value by way of Kwanzaa, her Kwanzaa event. She's brought value to my family. For that. So, and I said to him, I was like, yo, you know how hard it is to do something positive for 50 years? Like, 1 year of doing something positive. But, Kwanzaa is like something that you got to like really, really live. It's not like Christmas, and shout out to whoever celebrates Christmas. I'm not trying to downplay them, but it's not like Christmas where you just receiving gifts and you buy somebody a gift, you unravel the wrapping, and y'all don't talk nothing about Jesus. Y'all don't have no explanations. Y'all don't, get around the table and talk about the purpose of Christmas. But Kwanzaa, you go to the event, you're specifically talking about each day and what we should be doing for each day, ultimately carrying it on, throughout the year. Of course, with practice, because it's a practice. You know what I'm saying? But I just want to say that though.
Oh, that's dope. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Wow.
So what I'm gonna do is you're gonna go backstage. Right? I get to put you backstage then.
Y'all don't understand. Hassan just got here and he's already ragging me. I don't understand. I must have a face. I got to put on my Detroit what up though face, because I don't understand how these Brooklyn cats be trying to roll up on me, but that's okay. I got something for y'all.
That's how we do. That's how we do.
Yeah, you in the Bronx. Yeah, but let me just say this little quick shout out to African Poetry Theater, because they have been celebrating Kwanzaa with the family for over in New York City. They're the oldest Black non-for-profit, and Dr. Watusi Branch was the leader of African Poetry Theater for over 40 something years, and now his son runs it, and they've been always doing Kwanzaa for that many years. So props to anybody who can keep, like you said, this our legacy going on. And so thank you.
For sure.
All right. Oh yeah, you got these Brooklyn cats up in the comments. I can't. All right. Peace and love.
Peace. All right, family. Peace to y'all. Peace to y'all. So I'm gonna, without no doubt, just bring them on. A lot of people asked for them to come back and do a part 2. So we got my man, Dr. T. Owens Moore. Peace. Wait, I think your mic is muted.
Yeah, I was just giving you the Habaragani as you laid it out earlier.
Sir, Nia.
Yes, purpose. That's why we're here with a purpose tonight.
True indeed. True indeed. So let's jump right in it. So what we did, let's recap a little bit of what we did for the last show, for the part 1, for the people that weren't there. Also for like a refresher, because I actually need a refresher as well, and just go over a few things that we went over last time. So let's start off with what melanin is, right? And then just talk briefly about the differences between the eumelanin, the pheomelanin, the neuromelanin, so forth and so on.
Yeah, so I'm going to have a presentation for you to lay that on out. But just as we have this little intro here, we just broke down the reality of what this molecule is. Melanin is a carbon-based molecule. We talked about it, how important it is as a pigment. And if you just think about it in many life forms, you think about plants, chlorophyll, pigments. You think about your blood, red, hemoglobin, pigment. You think about animals that can like change their color, chromatophore. So you just think about the pigments that are everywhere in society. That's what we're speaking about in terms of melanin as a overarching discussion, but it's the pigmentation that goes beyond just coloring. It then has a role to play in science, and that's what we'll talk about when we break down some of the quick science advantages, and then we'll go into some more things because you have, I think the title that you had was "What do we need to know and what don't we know?" So
Yeah.
we'll break it down like that.
Yeah. So with the chlorophyll, which you're saying is pretty much melanin. Is that what you're saying, right?
No, pigment.
It's a pigment. So
Yeah.
is it functioning the same way that
Yes.
melanin in the skin functions?
Yes. You see a green plant, photosynthesis will not occur without chlorophyll. So
Gotcha.
without the sun, without the water, and then the chlorophyll is the pigment for helping with the conversions of the chemicals to make the elements that we need to live, there's no life. So you don't see any white plants. You see green plants, green leaves, and it's the chlorophyll, is the pigment in there that's causing the transformation for us to have life molecules in our existence. And again, in your blood is red. It's hemoglobin.
Yeah.
It's that redness, it's that color that is rich in pigment. Once it reaches the, I guess you get cut, the color of the blood changes because of the oxidation that occurs. Oxidation, that's what melanin's for, to prevent oxidation. That's why it functions as a natural antioxidant.
So wait, you said to prevent what?
Oxidation. Like, you know how you ride a bike?
Yeah.
Every day?
No.
Right. Definitely. So if you don't ride the bike every day, you leave it outside and it gets rained on, a lot of water gets on the metal bike, what happens to it?
Rust up.
Oxidized. So melanin helps to prevent that oxidation so your body doesn't rust out and get overly damaged cells don't flourish too much. So that's what melanin serves as, an antioxidant, a natural antioxidant.
Gotcha. Okay. So also we spoke about the role of melanin. The melanocyte, you said the melanocyte produces melanin, right?
Correct.
And the melanosome transfers it.
Right.
Right.
So the melanocytes, the cell, melanosomes are the little organelles that hold the melanin, and as the sun hits your skin, it blossoms and like spreads up to make your skin dark.
Got you. So now, you know how we say as above, so below. So with as within, as without, is there something besides plants that function the same way melanin does outside of us?
It's a pretty deep philosophical question. You didn't prepare that one for me. But if we look at us, we are the microcosm of the macrocosm.
Yes.
Right. So we're just a little element of what the big universe has. So I'm just saying we really function like plants. If you look at the neuron in your brain, it really looks like a tree. It branches out. The more branches it has, the more knowledge is being initiated inside the brain. So I would just say, if you want to look at that kind of scenario, plants, human beings, we all respond to really what light is.
What light is.
Yeah. So without light, there is also no life. In the
Gotcha.
universe, the cosmic universe, we have something called dark matter and dark energy. So it's dark out there. But in the beginning was darkness. And your womb was darkness. Not a womb, but a woman. And a child growing up. Your beginning started in darkness, and then light comes after that.
Yeah. Got it. Okay. All right. So you can go into your presentation, do your thing.
Okay. So let me know you can see that. You can see and you hear me?
Yep.
All right. So you asked me to discuss part 2, what we don't know and what we shouldn't know. So when we began last discussion in part 1, we were talking about the advantages of melanin functioning. And I emphasized this in a book called The Science of Melanin. Emphasize that, as we just talked about, it's an antioxidant. So it prevents your skin and your cells from deteriorating fast. So it prevents.
Wait, 1 second, because I don't see the
didn't change. Can't see it's changing.
Nah, I don't see the presentation at all.
Yeah, this happened last time. Let me stop coming back to you.
Yeah, so start back again.
So we did it in practice. You saw everything.
Yeah.
For some reason,
Do you see where it says share?
yeah. See it?
Yep.
So if I change the slide, you see that one?
Got it. Yep. We
All right.
did.
So evidently it doesn't work in full screen. I might have to just do it this way. We're good?
Yep. Do you
All
think?
right. So that first one again, we already discussed it as a item, as an element that can prevent your cells from deteriorating. You want to have life really at a maximal level. You don't want to have your cells being destroyed because of toxic elements around. So it neutralizes toxic substances. That's why we are calling it an antioxidant, and it does it naturally. We talked about this with food items that have pigments, like berries. Those items that contain pigments are high in antioxidant value. So when you go to the supermarket, buy your fruits, you definitely want to have some pigmented items. Second advantage I talk about is a nerve conduction facilitator. It makes your nerve impulses move quicker because where it is in the brain, in those pigmented areas, in those locations that have neuromelanin, it helps the nerve impulse to go quicker and faster. So there's no way you can not question that, because when you have a problem with those pigmented cells being absent, you have a movement problem called Parkinson's disease. So we can see clearly how important those pigmented cells are that produce items like dopamine or norepinephrine. These neurotransmitters are not work. If they don't work, your brain doesn't work. So that's why we say a nerve conduction facilitator. Facilitate just means it makes it easier to flow. The last one is energy transformer, as we spoke about last time. When we say energy transformer, it's about transferring energy that's outside of our body in the universe so that the body can interpret it and understand it. In your eyes, you have melanin on the back of your eyeball. The pigment is cell layer. It absorbs the photons and the light energy, transmits it to your brain, and now you see something. Without it there, you're virtually blind. In your ear, you have inner ear melanin. It's the same dynamic. If you have that absence of the inner ear melanin, you have some problems with hearing, not hearing certain frequencies. And so there's certain people that take drugs that they may need for, some medical complications, but some drugs can be ototoxic, OTO toxic. Oto deals with the ear. It can actually latch on to that melanin in the ear and cause some severe ear problems. So when we say energy transformer, we're just speaking about how melanin can be used in the body to transform energy for the body to be used. And now we have technology out there that's using this for science. For the skin and disease, it's just interesting how this is an old school article, but this article is saying that an independent biologist say that melanin can fight disease. So whenever they talk about Black people, you think about disease and horror and bad things, and well, that's not how we should be looking at it. We're looking at it as an item that can prevent the proliferation of toxicity of viruses. It can actually neutralize antigens and bad things that come into the body. And how can we prove that? Well, you ever get cut somewhere in your body and it heals and leaves a dark splotch, but over time it clears up?
Yeah.
Well, that melanin serves as a healing mechanism. So you see that knee up top, that's a knee. There's a little scar on there. And by day 16, it definitely healed. By day 30, you didn't even know there was a cut there. So melanin serves to protect your body, and also does it in fruit items. You ever take a bite of an apple or a banana and leave it out and not eat it right away?
Yeah.
It turns brown because that brown is that melanin forming to prevent spoilage. So when you look at the element of melanin, it's a carbon-based molecule with several types of carboxyl groups, methane groups, amine groups. So it's a chemical that absorbs. In darkness and blackness, that absorbs. If it's white, it reflects. That's why when you're around a day that's very hot and you wear a black shirt, you're going to probably burn up. So you don't want to wear black things on hot days because it absorbs the heat. So you think about the same thing with melanin as a biological element, a complex biopolymer. It absorbs. So you see in this little slide right here, you think about drugs that can be latched on to the melanin. It takes it in, and it may harbor it for a long time and may be difficult for it to be released. So therefore, drug addiction and drug problems and chemicals in our environment may impact people differently because of their melanin content.
So you're saying that the melanin will absorb those like harmful drugs or alcohol?
Yeah, it's like a double-edged sword. It's serving to protect you from those bad things that shouldn't be in your body.
Mm.
As it serves to protect you and it takes it in and it continually accumulates it, what happens over time, it took in so much that now those cells start to deteriorate.
Mm.
If you ever seen a whiteboard, if you teach, you have a whiteboard with some black marker ink and you take the eraser and you keep erasing it, or by the beginning of the semester, it was okay. By the time you get to the end of the semester, it becomes dirty and it's like no longer working as well anymore.
Yep.
So same thing what we're saying here.
Got it.
So that globular looking object in the middle there is called a melanocyte, sitting in your skin. Those little arms that are going up are the little arms of the melanocyte. And in the arms are some dark splotches, which are those melanosomes, which you asked me about earlier.
Yep.
The darkness of the melanosomes and the melanin goes to the surface of the skin and gives you smooth skin tone. Well, Africans have a lot of melanin in their skin. Asians, a little bit. Europeans, not a lot. So it's not like Asians and Europeans can't tan, but they don't have a lot of melanin for them to tan and get as dark as we can. Check?
Yep.
So in nature, melanin helps to transmit energy. All around us is electromagnetic energy, electricity and magnetism. Without it, life does not function. People study this on a physical level. So melanin becomes a element within our body that can transmit that energy. Even at room temperatures, they say it can function as a semiconductor. That means it makes information, electricity flow faster. People use it in technology for semiconductor technology. So if we know that it works in the body like that, people have extracted it, now have looked at it to study in the laboratory. So melanin also permits direct communication with nature. I kind of make that reference point because we just talked about plants and chlorophyll. Do you remember George Washington Carver?
Yeah.
He was a special man.
Mm-hmm.
That man revolutionized the peanut industry, revolutionized how we look at food. And they said he talked to the plants. Did you know that?
Yeah.
That brother was connected. So melanin permits us to be in direct communication with nature. And he's a perfect example of someone on a higher level of consciousness that was able to make it manifest and, market things from that. So electricity. So in the laboratory, people are now studying ways to put it in a vacuum and make it billions of times more conductive. So this is not like fictitious and made up. This is not pseudoscience. That's actually going on in the laboratory where people are now using things like the melanin, which is the one that's darker color. You asked earlier about pheomelanin. That's PHE melanin. That's more sulfur containing, and it's like for people who have like red hair or freckles. Melanin is more of the brown and the darker splotches. Well, that's what's being studied in the laboratory. And that's why I'm saying they're always probably studying us, extracting things from us. And now they take it to another level. When I say they, we're talking about scientists who are now not melanin dominant, who've had the industry to be able to manipulate this. You ever heard of graphene?
No.
Graphene is a chemical or structure, physical structure that they say is tougher than steel. It's carbon based. It's like a molecule that's created to look like melanin. It's called graphene. I put it in my book called Pigment Power, but we can discuss that some other time.
Yeah.
Wi-Fi.
So wait, let me ask you with the you mentioned about the different types of melanin and the different colors that it produces within people.
Mm-hmm.
So do the different colors of people have all of those types of melanin in them, or each?
No.
No.
I was no people with pheomelanin again would be like my Irish people with they're lighter in color with the red hair and the freckles.
Would they have? So they have pheomelanin, which shows on their skin, but do they have eumelanin?
Yeah, we would probably say if so, I wouldn't necessarily say a person with freckles in his iris doesn't have the black dark color in their eyeball or their
Mm,
ear. It may not be
gotcha.
functioning genetically like it does in people who are fully melanated.
Yes.
They have neuromelanin in their brain because they can certainly operate and
Yes.
function. You can't call it neuromelanin, pheomelanin in their brain. So it's really on the outside level of the skin that we're really referring to those variations there.
Gotcha.
Good question.
Yep.
So the Wi-Fi is a problem because it's all around us, and Wi-Fi is a frequency that
Mhm.
can alter your cells. We don't pay attention to that. So in this study here, which was done in 2018, talks about how it impacted calcium channels in your body. Well, there's some people that have heart attacks, and there are some people on blood pressure medicines with calcium channel blockers, and sometimes you got calcium problems, could have heart issues. So you now have a external element like Wi-Fi that can alter your calcium activation. This is problematic because we don't pay attention to that. You start to wonder why some people may get sick, fall out, I don't know, get a heart attack when they shouldn't be sick. I mean, it's just a lot going on when people are dropping dead. You don't know why they're dropping dead. So we got to pay attention to why people may be more melanated. Therefore, they're more susceptible to some of these frequencies. There's another study in 2005 thinking about gene expression. Now, gene expression is crucial to life because it explains and it describes how the life form is going to continue to grow in a proper manner. But this study looked at how radio frequencies observed that 221 genes alter their expression after a 2-hour exposure. Now, we have our cell phones around us. We're in our houses with our Wi-Fi. Some people have those smart meters now near the bedrooms. We don't know what's going on in the body. The number of affected genes increased to 759 after 6 hours exposure. Functional classification of the affected genes reveals that apoptosis, that means the cell's dying. Apoptosis-related genes were among the upregulated ones and the cell cycle genes among the downregulated ones. We say upregulated, that means more of. Downregulated means coming down. So we have evidence that there is a impact from frequencies around us that we don't pay attention to.
Yep.
I'm not going to show this here, but you can watch a video or movie called Generation Zapped. It talks about how kids around all these frequencies and how, we don't really pay attention to how it could be really interfering with their mental state. What's called Generation Zapped. Get a chance to look at that. Check it out.
Gotcha.
In your community, have you seen any 5G towers in your small community?
Absolutely. Especially during COVID, they started putting a lot of them up.
Yeah, during COVID, huh? Got everybody home. Now they're out in the street putting up this technology.
Yeah.
They have to have a whole lot of those towers because the way that the 5G works, and now we're beyond 5G. I think we have 6G and beyond in some countries. It helps with the mechanisms for auto control, like driverless cars. Have you ever been in a driverless car?
Nah, not yet.
Would you have any fear, any concerns?
A little some. Yeah.
Well, that's not a thrill of mine, but I did take a ride in one. Point is that they need this kind of technology around for it to operate. So these towers have to be close by, and there's many of them, and these frequencies are being emitted in your community. So is this going to be a higher rise of cancer, heart attacks, blood pressure issues? We just talked about it affects your calcium levels. So these are things that we must know, since that was the part of our discussion about what we need to know.
Is there anything that we should do to combat that?
Well, number one is if you got the big towers going in your community, you need to protest. Say, yo, don't put it in our community. That's one. There's nothing you can walk around with like a, what do you call it? A barrier in your body to, like a shield to say, I don't want to have this penetrating me, but you just need to be aware of where those towers are concentrated and really not spend your time there. It's problematic if you live near it though.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's almost like it's hard to say how you remove yourself from that if that's what you're living in. Point is that we didn't protest enough to say that we don't want this in our communities. I'm not worried about no driverless car. You know what I mean? That's not a main important thing. I don't want my toaster going on without me worried about it, or something in my house to be electronically manipulated. That's not a thrill of mine. But some people have this Jetson mentality that they want to create an environment where they just push the button and things happen. That's why we're so lazy now.
Yeah, well, it's coming regardless.
Yeah. But in other countries, it may not be as bad. In other places where this technology is not as superfluous, guess what? People aren't as sick. You know?
Gotcha.
Moving on to this oximeter. So your oxygen levels can be measured by an instrument. So when you go to the doctor now and get your, I guess physical, they put something on your finger. So they're measuring your oxygen levels. And so the question is, can these devices be racist? What does that mean? Why would I even ask that question? Why would you think I say that?
Because of the skin. I'm assuming because it is because of the skin.
Yeah. So the melanin is not being processed. Or the melanin may be inhibiting the way the technology is working and making it look like the oxygen levels are fine, but they're not. So the question might strike you as absurd to say that a science instrument could be racist, but what it is these devices significantly overestimate the level of blood oxygen in Black patients in real world conditions, meaning that Black people might have to be sicker than white people before they qualify for treatment. And so this deals with the COVID crisis that we had going on. And we're going to talk a little about that later on, because how does that now just disappear? We don't have no COVID issues no more, no flu issues no more. How do we not talk about it anymore? Like it just vanished and went away.
Nobody talking about it.
And this is now in December and the winter months, and people getting sick from other things now.
Yep.
So this is a matter of life and death. So what's going on is that darker skinned patients, have a challenge with how this technology is measuring what the science is supposed to be measuring. So it's not so much the devices are racist, it's just that the skin is problematic. You've been to some of those restaurants, airports, or wherever they have the electronic faucets where you just put your hands under there and the water comes out, soap comes out.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes they don't work. It might be because of your skin. So rather than putting on the back part of your hand, might put on the palm side of your hand, because sometimes it doesn't come out. That is the soap or the water, and it has a lot to do with the way that the technology is measuring skin levels of melanin.
Wow.
So, pineal gland. I believe we talked a little about that last time.
Yeah, we did.
The discussion really is important because of this time of the year, where people's circadian rhythms change because the environment, nature has changed. The 24-hour circadian cycle may change because the sun is not shining as much anymore. And there's some people that suffer from disorders like winter depression or seasonal affective disorder during this time of the year because of the change in the environment.
That's a big thing in Europe, I heard.
Yeah, because there's not a lot of sunshine and you got cloud cover, and it's a big problem. So Seattle, United States, where the sun's not shining, a lot of clouds, people suffer from seasonal affective disorder. So this pineal gland is an organ that responds to the circadian rhythms. The pineal gland produces a chemical called melatonin. So some people may have a pineal gland that's not functioning as well, not producing enough of the hormone melatonin, and then you have problems with them adjusting to the winter months, and that's why you see people more sad during the time period where sun is not shining as much anymore.
Yeah.
But look where it is, deep in the brain.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like it's on the top of the head, not by your eyeball, it's not by, I don't know, it's not on the back of your head, it's right dead center of your brain. That's magnificent. How an organ like that deep in is actually surrounded around chemicals can have an enlightening or darkening effect on your consciousness. When you see that halo around the head of images of Christ or someone who's been anointed, that halo references this opening up. It's consciousness. So just the fact that it's so far into the brain is pretty deep. So there is a sunlight, there's a, like I say, psychoneuroendocrinology of sunlight and darkness. I talk about this in Dark Matters, Dark Secrets, because we need to understand the importance that we need to be going to sleep when the sun goes down, waking up when the sun comes up. But we have our bodies all out of whack by not staying in tune with nature. But the visible light can not only come through our eyes, but the way this image is showing here, it can also maybe come through the top of our head and go down to that pineal gland. Because at the top of the head is like some soft spots on a child that's growing. It's called the follicles, and as that's forming, it hardens up. But when you're younger, it's soft.
Yep.
It may be because, again, allowing that energy, that spirit, get into that brain in that location. So you see right here, the melatonin goes to the bloodstream, and just look at the word melatonin. Melanin, dark, toning the melanin. So at nighttime, it's being produced. It's lightening the skin to allow more light to get in. Is that a hard concept to visualize?
No, not at all.
So it's serving a purpose.
Yeah.
In animals, it also inhibits reproduction. Inhibits reproduction so that the animals are not reproducing in the winter months, because of what? The animal's going to die. So that's why you have in the springtime and the estrus and all the hormones circulating, because now it's time to reproduce. But melatonin shuts that down during the wintertime in animals. You can't say that in humans. So this is a sagittal section of the brain. Say sagittal, that means side section of the brain. So if you opened it up, you got two hemispheres. You got those two eyeballs there. You see, you got they cut it. You see the cerebellum. You see the pons. So if you just cut that, and you are you a neuroscientist?
Nah, not at all.
So if you slice that brain and looked at that, what would you say? Like, do I see anything? What do you see in there?
I see all the different parts.
But you don't know what to call them. No. But if you start to study them over thousands of years, you have an understanding that this is the most powerful entity in the universe. It creates things. So the third eye, if you ever looked at the third eye, when our ancient African ancestors were dissecting the brain, they had to have seen what we're looking at right now. See, the Greeks, from what I understand, people like Charles Finch written his books and Echoes of Old Dark Land and his books on science, that the Greeks weren't really into dissecting. Africans were doing that.
Yeah.
So as they were looking at the brain, if you see the image of the third eye, that eye part in the middle there is really the thalamus. You see that little bottom part? Can you see my cursor moving?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, great. So the pons, that's the underbelly of the brain where you have tracks going from left and right side of the brain, but that pons is right here. You see the brain stem going down right here. You have the back side here, this little loop, that's like the cerebellum. And you have this part right here on the top of the eye. It's like the corpus callosum.
Yep.
So they saw this, studying that. And so there's a whole science to the eye of Haru, eye of Ujet. There's a science to how all these portions of the third eye add up to like 1/64th. And something about life is meant to find that fraction that's missing. So the brain itself, I'm saying, was studied by our ancient African ancestors, and we're now, I guess, trying to learn it today.
Yeah.
Beyond the melatonin, also serotonin comes from the pineal gland. So you need serotonin to make melatonin. So all we're showing right here in this little image is that light hits the retina. Retina goes to the hypothalamus. This place called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, that is where you have your circadian clock. When we say circadian clock, there's a place in your brain that triggers you to go to sleep, wake up. That's in the hypothalamus, and that area is called the SCN, suprachiasmatic nucleus. Sends some pathways over here to the spinal cord, then goes to the pineal gland to make these chemical reactions. One of them is tryptophan.
One second. And what are the circadian rhythms?
Circa means around. So around like a clock, a rhythm. So I personally like to stay up late at night to do my work. Some people are early morning risers. That's their circadian clock, knowing that. Your body goes through changes during certain times of the day. So that's what we mean by a circadian clock.
Okay.
So your wakefulness, your state of being alert, is being managed by the suprachiasmatic nucleus there in the hypothalamus. So those cells are destroyed. Animals studies, you destroying them, it alters the animal's activity levels. So now you go down to the pineal gland where this kind of square is down here. These are all the chemical reactions that are occurring in the pinealocyte. So tryptophan is an amino acid. So you know about diet. If you don't have certain elements in your diet, then you don't have what you need for your brain to work right.
Yeah.
Amino acids are critical. They're the building blocks. So tryptophan is one of them. Tryptophan is converted into serotonin. Serotonin is converted to melatonin. And all these go to target issues that have impact on your body. So there are some people that are depressed, like clinically depressed, like they can't get out the house, can't go to work, and they take medications.
Yeah.
Some of the most effective medications, they say, are antidepressants. Some of the most effective ones, so they say, are things like serotonin selective reuptake inhibitors. That means it inhibits the amount of serotonin that can get back into the system, so it stays in there longer. So serotonin now becomes a chemical associated with mood. So the chemicals that you're eating in your food affect how your chemicals in your brain are made, and they then impact your mental state. So we don't talk much about this, but we spoke about it last time about vitamin D. It's not really a vitamin. It's a vital amine, but it's not a vitamin. It's a steroid hormone. My goodness, you're telling me that the sun, which produces this in your skin, produces a hormone, this is why you feel good?
Wait, say that one more time.
So the sun, does it make you feel good on a sunny day?
Absolutely.
You're up there in New York right now. Was it rainy today or anything like that?
Nah, it wasn't raining.
Was it cloudy?
Yesterday it was cloudy, but yesterday it was raining. Yeah.
So those days where it's cloudy, you probably don't feel as energetic or alive. Yep. So that sun is doing this in your skin, producing the chemicals that you need, and one of them is vitamin D. But I'm telling you, it's not a vitamin. It's a steroid hormone. How powerful are steroid hormones? You heard of testosterone? Yeah. Male behavior. You heard of estrogen? Yeah. Female behavior. Those are steroid hormones also. So then another name we can call this vitamin D is sotriol. It's a chemical that's produced from the sun that's generated in the skin. And you see there in the bloodstream, you have these conversions that need to go from your kidneys to the liver to actually make the actual chemicals needed for your vitamin D to function properly in your body. So I do recommend people to take extra international units of vitamin D in their diet, especially for Black people in the winter months, living way away from the equator, because vitamin D is important for your mental state, your activity, and your immune system. That's why grandma gave you that cod liver oil when you were a child in the winter months. It was nasty, but you needed it. So here are just, again, some other examples of steroid hormones, and I'm only showing you because I want you to see how important they are. So androgens, testosterone, estrogens, just talked about females. Progestins, also with females. Glucocorticoids and mineralocorticoids help manage the stress response. And then the last one, sotriol. So all those steroids come from a base of things that are in our diet, like cholesterol. So cholesterol is not really bad. There's some bad cholesterols. Guess what? There's some good cholesterols. When you go get your health report, when you go get your physical, they tell you cholesterol levels. Can you tell me which one of them is good? Is the good one?
Nah, I definitely can't.
But we need to know, don't we?
Yeah, we do. I definitely need to know.
Can you tell me what kind of fluid you put into your engine?
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? For sure. Our engine and a car, but not our bodies.
Yeah.
That's what's so deep about it.
Yeah.
So the question I was asking about that, what was I asking you?
About the what kind of oil or gas goes in the car.
Yeah, in your body. Okay, so what I'm saying is cholesterol. The one that's good, I wanted you to tell me, but you didn't remember. It's called HDLs.
Okay.
High density lipoproteins.
HDLs.
HDLs are the good cholesterol.
Okay.
LDLs are the bad cholesterol. L, low density. Low, that means it may sit in your bloodstream and guess what? Accumulate and that clogs up your arteries. So that's why we need to be more conscious as we go to the doctor rather than telling us something we need to know.
Yeah.
But it's coming from cholesterol. This slide here just showing you omega-3 fatty acids. Your brain basically is fat. So you got this skull and this hard part surrounding your brain, but your brain is basically fat. So that's why it's important to have. I take omega-3 fatty acids. I don't know and haven't seen and observed any changes, but people say it's good for your memory and helps the brain to last a little longer. And I'm sure as I age, I would like my brain to last a little bit longer.
Yep.
So omega-3 fatty acids, and you can get this also from food items like mackerel, salmon, some of the like oily kind of fishes, sardines. So it can also be almonds.
Yeah.
So think about those kind of items to consume in your diet. There's that brain again. I studied that. I caught a beautiful, it's like I said, the most elaborate entity in the universe. Because of that brain, we're here tonight pushing buttons and talking about these topics. So deep in that middle of the brain, that little pink item look like a pink pinky or a penis or something sticking there. That's the pineal gland. It's kind of open. It's sitting in fluid right around there. So the fluid that's being circulated, and you think about visions, it may be the chemicals from the fluid that talks to the receptors that makes the people have inner vision. Right there in the middle of the brain. That's that corpus callosum right there, that white part. That's the part that connects the left side and the right side of the brain. So here you have the left and right side of the brain, but right there in the middle of that corpus callosum, if that's cut, the left and the right brain don't communicate.
You said inner vision. When you say inner vision, are you referring to like if we just like right now, if I just stop and go within and have a vision within, or like an unwanted vision?
Nah, a vision that you can generate. When people are meditating, you don't meditate just to say you want to meditate. No, you meditate to move to a higher state of consciousness. So when some people meditate, they're able to channel their body and channel the energy up from the root chakra up to the top chakra. And it opens up this pineal gland for what? Higher states of consciousness.
Yeah.
You have to be able to study the body and know that. And if we don't know what's in our body, but we know what's in our cars and our, things in our houses, but we don't know what's in the brain, then we're really not studying and don't know ourselves. And that's what we're all about. Purpose, right? To study and know ourselves. That area in the back there, the cerebellum, that area has 70 billion neurons. Wow. Just that one little area looks like a tree that's branching out. It's a little brain, but it's 70 billion neurons just in that one area. Yeah. And it's got to be more than just helping out with fine coordinated movement, but that's what's studied. It's got to be dealing with learning because that's what's studied. So just the brain itself, when people say you're not using all your brain, it's because we really haven't really studied how all these brain areas work together. Now, I showed you that third eye earlier. I think you can find it again, right? You can see it now.
Yep.
Middle part, thalamus right there. The corpus callosum will be up top here. So all these areas that are in the brain that are listed here all have functional roles to play. This is a kind of like a side section or sagittal section of the brain, and you can see one side. If you look at the other side of the brain, it's bilateral. You see the same kind of images on the other side. The pineal gland, however, is sitting there by itself, not bilaterally symmetrical. It's only an individually kind of arranged item right there in the middle of the brain.
Yep.
There it is again, pineal gland. That's the pituitary gland. That has been considered to be, I grew up in high school, not college, but grade school. They said that the pituitary gland was the master gland. I don't know if you ever heard that or.
Nah, never heard it.
Master gland. Why would they call it the master gland? Because it emits hormones that helps you out with your development. When you go through puberty, it's the hormones that are coming from here that help you to grow. So that's why it was considered the master gland. But when you look at the pineal gland responding to light outside, it's that master gland is probably the pineal, not the pituitary gland.
Yeah.
So stress, tough time of the year, holiday season. Some people don't know how to manage it. I look at the news, man, it's like the first story is about somebody who killed somebody. The first story is somebody shot somebody. It's like, why? It's like, who's preparing the internet, creating that, and putting the stories out? It's stressful to people.
Yeah.
The world is going through all this turmoil with a certain element that's trying to create war. And that's stressful to people. So your body, has all the elements in it to kind of rise to a higher state of health and development. But if you're continually bombarded with negativity, those organs are going to begin to fail.
Yeah.
Seeing right here is the endocrine system. You're looking at all those organs in your body that also emit chemicals, but those organs are almost like planets, like the planetary system. As the planets operate and work in our solar system, any imbalance in a certain planet is going to cause a problem in the way that the universe operates. It's the same thing with the organs. You know how many people go into the hospital with some, medical complications, and they're then put on an IV, and then they're given all these particular medicines. And guess what? They then have kidney problems.
Yeah.
Man, so where's that coming from? Because you alter the state of how the body functions with all these chemicals that have been put into it. So you were fine before you went to the hospital. Now you got 4 other problems.
Mm-hmm.
It's problematic. But each one of these organs is very significant for controlling parts of our behavior. So in the hypothalamus, there's a chemical release, actually down to the pituitary, called melanocyte stimulating hormone. Probably never heard of it, but you know what a melanocyte is because you told me it's the cell that makes melanin.
Yeah.
You got a hormone that stimulates the melanocyte to make more melanin. So that should be easy to comprehend. Something that in your body makes your skin get darker without even the sunlight.
So you're saying that the hormone doing that?
Melanocyte stimulating hormone. It stimulates the melanocyte to make more melanin. This is not with the sun. But look at the word I have there. It's a natural antipyretic agent. Antipyretic, anti-fire, anti-fever. It slows down the fever.
That's what pyretic means?
Right. You know what? You I guess, who cooks in your house? You or your wife?
My wife.
So you wouldn't know what a Pyrex dish is?
Yeah, I definitely know what a Pyrex dish is.
All right, yeah. So Pyrex dish deals with,
he cooks 90% of the time.
Okay. Well, the Pyrex dish pertains to the heat. You know? So here we have pyretic. Same scenario. You heard of?
Okay.
Hope you don't have any kids that are pyromaniacs. What's a pyromaniac?
You gotta be there.
Somebody who likes fire.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I'm just saying the word is in there. So when you break it down, it's preventing the rise of heat in the body. That's a natural chemical doing that.
Yeah.
I think that's powerful because all we're associating is it with darkness and making melanin.
That's it.
So there could be a reason why people who are melanated are what? Less stressed. So when we talk about meditating, if you ever heard of vagal tone, vagal stimulation, the vagus nerve is the largest cranial nerve going from the brain down to the stomach area and going into your digestive system. So this cranial nerve, when it's stimulated, it can then impact the brain to make you feel calm. So all these little nerves that are coming off, there's 12 of them. Cranial nerve number 10 is the vagus nerve.
So how does it get stimulated?
Well, if you breathe properly, you should be taking air through your nasal area, and your diaphragm comes out. Yes. And when you now expel out of your nose, then your diaphragm comes in. Yeah. So that means you're making your stomach area work. So as you're doing that, you're stimulating the vagus nerve to stimulate the chemicals going to the brain to then give you a certain feeling of peace.
Gotcha.
That's how it works.
Gotcha.
So here we have a system called the autonomic nervous system. On the left side, you have the sympathetic. On the right side, the parasympathetic. So when red, that's the fight, flight, that's the energy producing side. On the blue, it's the energy conserving side. The point is that they all go to the same organs, but some of them make your heart beat fast, some of it slows it down.
Yeah.
This is happening automatically. You're not even paying attention to any of this. So when you look at the places that are like off the spinal cord, these channels, these like this ganglion, it's called a ganglia channel, or like a chain.
Mhm.
This is where I believe the chakra system is being generated. You heard of chakras? People who meditate and have vortexes of energy that are in their body.
Yeah.
I believe it's being generated from this system right here. This along your spinal cord.
Mm.
So we can simply study that because we can now have what do you call it? Scans that can look at the body when people are going through certain physical states. And there's some people who are clairvoyant where they can feel and see kind of like auras on people. Some people have that
Yeah.
gift. Some people don't.
Yeah.
Moving on to the brain again, that thalamus we talked about earlier. Remember that third eye?
Mm-hmm.
That dot in the middle of the third eye, there that is, that thalamus. Everything's going into the thalamus. Thalamus is an integration center. Thalamus, integration. That means it integrates your smelling, your taste, your hearing. So that's why you get this kind of sensory experience of having things together. These little dots here on the spinal cord here, many of those areas are melanated. So the melanin is in those dark areas producing certain chemicals like norepinephrine, dopamine that impact behavior. So if you're meditating, you're stimulating these areas, you're making the brain work.
And that's the neuromelanin?
Yes, in these areas that are darker in color. They're like a 12 like splotches that are there in the brain. One of them is the substantia nigra. We've talked about that before with Parkinson's disease. So yeah, those dark areas are then deep in the middle of the brain stem. So make a long story short, the pituitary gland, as I said, was the master gland. It sends information along the circulatory system, like ACTH goes to your adrenal glands. Adrenal glands. Do you know what your adrenal glands are for?
No.
Do you know what your carburetor and your engine is for?
Actually, nope.
All right. You know what your muffler is for?
Yeah.
So that's the only point I'm making. We know about our cars and those elements, but not our body.
Yeah, you're right.
So the adrenal gland produces adrenaline, it produces epinephrine, it produces cortisol, it produces elements that hype you up and get you ready for the stressful situation.
Mm.
So you see on the side there, norepinephrine and epinephrine, it increases those chemicals. It goes to target organs like maybe your muscles or your heart.
Yeah.
If you're stressed or something's going on, you might need to run. That means you need to get some blood flowing to your muscles.
Yeah.
It's happening without you thinking about it. So one chemical, or the glucocorticoids, the cortisol, they're actually steroid hormones. And guess what? The more that they may circulate in the brain, the more problematic it could be in the long run. That's why stress can be a killer.
Yeah. So being that stress is not a tangible thing, and you're saying that, so stress would be an energy, right?
Yeah. So stress is maybe good too. I mean, your body needs to have something that challenges it.
Yeah.
Too much stress can overburden you and then cause the complications that we see in people's lives.
So this is the same. The same goes for like fear as well, because fear is not a tangible thing. And can fear create these different things within you?
Yeah, I think. See, there's in emotion and motivation something called fear and anxiety. So, what do you think is worse, fear or anxiety?
I think anxiety.
Yeah, because you don't know why you're anxious.
Yep.
Fear, I'm scared of heights, so don't go on the roof.
Yeah.
Scared of spiders, well, don't touch the spider.
Yeah.
Anxiety, you know what you're anxious about. That's why I'm saying when you look at the news now, death, destruction, killing. Why is it even being presented? Because someone's making you anxious, making you fearful, and then you vote MAGA. You vote for it against your interest.
And then it makes you sick as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
On multiple levels. Mentally sick, emotionally sick, physically sick.
Yeah.
So these chemicals are being altered, and if we don't know it, that's why we then get sick. That's the hypothalamus, pituitary. The chemicals I just mentioned. I'm just showing you another image of how they are circulating. They can then go backwards and then shut it down. So all this is happening automatically. And you can think about some people have endocrine problems, and hormone problems. And you may never resolve what the problem is because one chemical is going to impact another that impacts another chemical. It become very problematic to try to figure out how stress is killing people. So some people are then stuck in the matrix. And you're stuck in the matrix, oh my goodness, you're really going to be sick. Animal studies show, how animals who don't have control, they can be then more sick than others. So you can study them having more ulcers in their body because they can't control the scenario.
Oh yeah.
Some who you can see in that little slide there. If you have a warning, it's not as bad.
Yeah.
No warning, you're gonna be more sick. That's why I got a little star up there. If the control animal, there's no real problem. But they're getting shocked, and you can now study maybe say stomach ulcers. And so the animals that have no control get more sick than others. So you saw the movie The Matrix?
Yeah.
Remember when Neo came out of the pod and he pulled that thing out of his head and he said to Morpheus, "Man, my eyes hurt."
Yeah.
Do you remember what Morpheus said?
Nah, what he said?
He never used them before.
So
people are stuck in the matrix of all this negativity, and that's why fear. You just asked about fear. It can be tracked in the brain.
Yeah.
The amygdala, see, they're right there in the dead center of the brain. Not dead center, I'm sorry. The bottom part of the frontal lobe, and the temporal lobe right there is the amygdala. The brain's rapid response system sends the body into high alert if triggered. That's why it's crazy when you look at the cop shows. They used to have all them cop shows, and I don't know, bad boys, what you gonna do? Remember all that stuff?
Yeah, cops, yep.
Man, that was all about generating this fear about the black male. Fear. Where we at now? Now immigrants. Fear. The xenophobia that's going on in our communities because how they keep projecting like these other people.
Yeah.
So this can be tracked, and that's why they're not so much studying it. Now they're making it real, right in our real lives, manipulating us, and we're not even seeing it. So then our body goes through these problems. And again, people who aren't breathing right, going to have an issue. Some people may perspire either too much, and that could be a problem. So anxiety creates all these issues with your body. Your heart beats faster, liver releases too much sugar, and you got the blood pressure rises. I'm sure you probably know some people on blood pressure medicines.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, well, really, do they need them? Some people may, but it becomes a game then because some people are dying from blood pressure medicines. So moving on to spiritual warfare, because I think that's what we're dealing with in the media right now. Spiritual warfare. So do you know that they can put chips in your body and you can be marked?
Yeah.
Some people want that. They want to have a chip in their body so that it can be read and they can now determine, your health status. But this is wacky science. And so that guy, Elon Musk, was trying to do a neurochip in people's brains.
Yeah.
Some people have those glasses where they can look at you and the glasses are taking pictures of you and doing things, So technology is really strange. But here's a little young kid. He was like one of the first that wanted to be chipped with one of these devices, and he actually died.
Wow.
Back in 2006. Wow. But he was one of the original people who wanted to be in this realm. And just thought it was interesting that he happened to die,
Wow.
It was like an accident. Military, government, spiritual warfare. We're talking about things that are done against you that you can't see. Actually, you can see, you just don't know what you're saying. You seen those little X's in the sky? Chemtrails, you seen them?
Every day I see them.
So who the hell is playing tic-tac-toe in the sky?
Yeah. And why?
Why and how? And so precise.
Yeah.
So the government's research program, DARPA, backs the development of a microchip that is inserted into the skin to detect COVID. That was back in the day. I'm pretty sure they have more functional things now. The military secretly sprayed radioactive materials on blacks in St. Louis. Do you remember a presentation on that on YouTube?
Yeah, I saw that.
I don't know, it was like the 60s or something like that, 60s or 70s.
Yeah, but I saw like a more recent one. I think something they did like in the 2000s or something like that,
Crazy.
talking about what they did.
And
Yeah,
so with these chemtrails, I mean, what are they spraying?
yeah.
Are people getting more sick now than they used to be?
So wait, but what are they saying they're spraying?
What are they saying? They ain't saying nothing. They saying, no, that's just condensation from the jet.
Nah.
Yeah, that's what they're gonna tell you. But people say like barium, aluminum, some of those items are being sprayed. Some people say there's being sprayed to alter the, the weather patterns.
Mm-hmm.
So as that chemical dissipates, it blocks the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because some white people are gonna burn up with no sun.
Mm-hmm.
So they're gonna do whatever they can to prevent that from happening in the environment. So I think there's a bigger scale of disruption because those chemicals are bad for our body. You breathe in aluminum and barium, that sticks in your brain, sticks in your body. We just talked about what melanin does. It absorbs.
Yeah.
It takes in. If you study that in St. Louis, where there's black people, you know they were studying what the heck it does.
Yeah.
Should I end here or talk a little about this COVID crisis that was, and now we don't talk about no more?
We can start bringing it down so we can jump on to the next thing.
All right. So the COVID crisis was here. I'm just trying to show you how crazy it was because Merck Sharp and Dome or Merck, they didn't want to do the vaccine. They got out the game early. They wanted to do a drug because they knew the vaccine wasn't going to work. Merck is a big company. Have you ever heard of Vioxx?
No. What is Merck?
Merck Sharp and Dome. It's like Merck is a like Pfizer, like Moderna. It's a company.
Oh, okay.
Big time company.
Yeah.
So Merck had a drug called Vioxx that was on the market that was giving people strokes. But it was on the market. It was taken off. And so I don't know if they paid people off or they had to pay for the problems there, but I'm just telling you that these companies are not about your interest. They're about the stockholders and making money. I don't care about you. So vaccines, there's been a whole game of who makes vaccines. If Cuba had a vaccine that could solve the whole problem and America didn't use it, isn't that kind of diabolical?
If Cuba had a vaccine
that worked,
but
America wouldn't use it.
Yeah, that ain't right.
Ain't right. Russia had a vaccine called the Sputnik. Everybody had their own vaccine. China had vaccines, Sinopharm or something. Everybody had a vaccine, but America stuck with the mRNA vaccines.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of vaccines that could have been used. So in short, this is just showing you that, again, other companies had them. Pfizer, you look at the studies today, you see how they're talking about the health consequences years later.
Yeah.
I mean, you can look on the internet and see all that. So China's vaccinating a stagger rate, 20 million people a day. But I mean, some of those vaccinations are not like the ones that are being used here.
Yeah.
I'm going to end here because this one gets into more of the outside agencies of really what's going on out in outer space. I'm going to end it there because I want to make sure we understand that we got a lot to study, and if we don't know our bodies, we definitely ain't gonna know what's going on in the universe. And that's why I was getting ready to out to the universe. So
I guess you got to come back for part 3 then.
Yeah, part 3 and 2 next year.
For sure. Nah, we definitely appreciate that. We got a lot of homework to do. Once again, we all got a lot of homework to do. But what I want you to talk about now is the upcoming event that you got coming up, the conference.
Yes. You see that?
Pigment Power.
Blueprint for Pigment Power.
Yep.
Actually, based on the thoughts and ideas of our brother, you heard of Owens Wilson, right?
Yeah.
Blueprint for Black Power. Man, you see how thick that is? Owens Wilson went in on it in terms of what we need to do. A moral, political, and economic imperative for the 21st century. So I had thought about doing this Blueprint for Pigment Power conference, and I had a colleague, or actually somebody read my work, named Molly Kentucky, and she said, wow, your work is just so fascinating. And came on down to interview me with a brother named Ben Figueroa from Puerto Rico. She's from Dominican Republic, and now they're sharing their ideas about things. And I said, you know what? I was thinking about doing a conference called Blueprint for Pigment Power. They say, well, let's do it. Uh-oh. You know what I mean? People can talk, but the action is where it's at. So my colleague has a website called Ubuntu El Returno, and she's developing and growing at her age and learning new things. And my brother, Ben, with his technical skills, we put together a conference that's going to be held in February called Blueprint for Pigment Power at Stonecrest, Georgia, at the New Black Wall Street.
Okay, that's February what?
February 6th to 7th.
6th and 7th. Okay.
So,
and how long did it take for y'all to prepare for this?
Oh my goodness, still preparing. I feel like smoking stack more in Sinners. You see Sinners?
Oh, absolutely. 4 times.
Okay, well, that's what I'm feeling like. Preparing this agenda that the people need and we want.
Yeah.
How do you do it, though? We were going to do it in October, but time just ran by. Then I had a suggestion to do it in Black History Month.
Yeah.
So that's why we're going to do it in February. So it's not going to be the only time we do it for, it's just the first annual, but I want to take this global, go to other countries. And that's why if my colleague comes on board, she is Spanish speaking. Hey, we need to translate our work into other languages.
Yes, sir.
You see what's happening in the Sahel states over there in France or in Africa.
Yeah.
They're French speaking.
Yeah.
How do we now connect? They had the negritude movement over there that gave them a sense of Black consciousness, but what's the Spanish side? What's the Portuguese side? What's the English? So, we need to start bringing this together. So that's what the Blueprint for Pigment Power is all about. And so now I got my colleague here who has inspired me to say, hey, let's just do it.
Yes. Hello, my dear. How are you? You're muted.
Hi. Thank you. Thank you so much for this opportunity. It's been a wonderful lesson, Dr. Moore. So thank you again, like always.
Great.
Yes. Can you pronounce your name?
Mali.
Mali. Okay. And pronounce your last name?
Kentucky.
Kentucky. Mali, Kentucky. Nice to meet you.
Yes, nice to meet you too. And thank you so much, Brother Hassan, for the work that you're doing for us. And I really appreciate it. Thank you.
No, it's my pleasure. It's definitely my pleasure. And I know the community appreciates it also. But let me ask you, for someone that has no idea, doesn't know anything about melanin, would they be overwhelmed if they came to the conference?
No, not at all.
No.
Not at all. On the contrary, everything is at a level where everybody can understand. And that's one of the things that fascinated me about Dr. Moore's books. I read all of them. And it's the simplicity on how he expresses all the information in the book, in all his books. And so everybody that's going to be presenting also are going to be doing the same. And it's not just about melanin. It's going to be about economics, like Dr. Moore just said. It's going to be about economics, education, spirituality. Just everything.
Gotcha.
All those areas, yes.
Gotcha. Because, sometimes people get a little doubtful if they think that it's something that they won't be able to, speak to or understand.
Oh, no, not at all. And as a matter of fact, I was completely ignorant about this topic. And the reason how I came into the topic of melanin was because I have traveled mostly all over the world, and especially in Latin America, and I have studied the ancient cultures in so many different places, and seen the need for the Afro-Latinos to know that their skin, the power of their skin, and it's not a bad thing for us, because that's what we have been taught. And so there's a lot of controversy regarding our skin color, especially in Latin America. And so I said, there's got to be something that would help us be able to bring our self-esteem to a higher place, to a different place, and to value um, our skin color. And
Yes.
so that's when the project that we started working on came about. And then that's how I was introduced to Dr. Moore. And that the rest is history because the projects keep on expanding. And here we are now today with the conference. Uh,
And
so
where are you located?
I'm sorry,
Where are you located?
I'm in the Dominican Republic.
Okay, all right. So when you mentioned about the controversy, um, is the what is the controversy about?
There's a lot of racism in
Hmm.
the Spanish speaking community, in the countries as it is. And so, as you know, in the island of the Española, what the name given, we have on one side, we have Dominican Republic, and on the other side, we have Haiti. And
Yeah.
so, there's a lot of racial issues amongst the two countries
Hmm.
when there really shouldn't be, because that's one of the things that also have been part of everything that we are. It's been the division. I mean, and what we're trying to do with the conference, especially, is to be able to dismantle all the divisions that we have, languages like Dr. Moore was just mentioning, the French, we have Creole, we have
Hmm.
Spanish speaking, we have English speaking, and so that's what we want to dismantle. And the culture, everybody in different countries, we have different cultures, and so the pigment, that melanin, is what's going to be the main focus of unity. And so as you see, everything is linked, but we're linking it with the pigment of melanin. And so to begin by reinforcing and letting the people understand the importance of melanin and the importance of the darkness of their skin, to in order for them to be able to value their skin tone. And so, because of all the divisiveness that's in Latin America regarding racism and the color of our skin.
Well, that's this is a very big thing that you're doing.
Mhm.
Very big step that you're making. I appreciate that.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Yes, yes. So, do y'all want to discuss anything that that'll be going on at the conference? Do you want to discuss, who you have locked in, or anything like that?
Well, I could just say it's very important to have this trans-cultural connection
Hmm.
because, again, we're not in this world by ourselves.
Yes.
So I don't know if we'll have the translations going on, but we do have during the daytime an opportunity where we're going to have people, if they can't make it to the conference, they can stream it. Uh,
Okay.
so the so the daytime events from 11 to 5 will have presentations dealing with science, health, dealing with finances. Because if you can't pay for your own sustenance, you don't have your own independence with finances, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Self-defense, if you can't protect yourself, you can't protect it, you're
Yep.
in trouble. And then self-defense, health. I don't really deal too much with politics. I mean, it exists everywhere. But we're
Mm.
going to be dealing with these issues that we need to have the blueprint so we can survive. So this is why I want to have it at new Black Wall Street because it's a Black-owned venue.
Yep.
You have vendors there. You have Black-owned institutions. So how can we now make it work also for them?
Mm.
So during the evening time, though, I'm going to have a masterful opportunity to honor living legends. Do you know
Mm.
how many people are past? Speaking of like Dr. John Henry Clark,
Yeah.
Dr. Ben, John G. Jackson, they're gone. And we haven't really honored them like
Mm.
we should. So, going to have an event called Honoring the Grand Masters, the Living Legends. So, I don't know if you heard of Bruce Bynum, but he's written a book called African Unconscious. We're
Yeah.
also co-authors together. Ann Brown, she's also co-author with me. She actually taught there at Megas Evers. She was
Yep.
in the Department of Biology.
Yep.
Carol Barnes, he helped to start off this whole discussion back in the 80s on Melanin with his book called Melanin, the Chemical Key to Black Freedom or Greatness. So Carol Barnes is a chemist. Honor him. People don't know and haven't seen him. Jewel Pookrum, if you've ever interviewed her on your HAPI program, she's a medical doctor who has been at the forefront of talking about melanin in her work, brain balancing program. He's been instrumental, and she's still here. That's the
Yeah.
point. Still here. Charles Finch, uh, medical doctor who's produced some major texts and
Hmm.
is still here. Hunter Adams, part of the Nile Valley Conference when they brought Sheikh into Diop here back in the 80s. He's
Yeah.
still around and has a book coming out. He's dealing with the fact that we were not slaves. So he has a book and he deals with neuroscience. So he's a important part of this discussion. And then we're also going to honor a black bookstore owner named Nia Damali. I wanted to surprise her, but I can't do that. She now knows. But
Gotcha.
Nia Damali owns Madu Bookstore in Greenbrier Mall. She's retiring next year. If you don't have a bookstore, you
Hmm.
don't have knowledge and information. She has put her life up for us to have access to information. So we need to honor someone like that. All the people Levi just mentioned, all of them have works on my bookshelf. So
Yes.
these are powerful people that we need to honor. And I'm just saying, let's honor those people while they're still alive and give them their flowers while they're here. And then on Saturday evening, beyond the presentations during the day, we're going to have a music performance by a brother named Musiki Scales and his group called the Common Ground Collective. You can
Hmm.
go ahead and look at his website and look at his music. The brother does hip hop, Afrobeat, jazz, contemporary. I mean, you're talking
Okay.
about a
All right.
brother that is he's an educator,
Yeah.
historian, and he puts that in the music. So we're going to have that as a ending performance on Saturday.
Okay. So when you're honoring these scholars,
Mhm.
are they actually going to be present?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
I know we have a complication with one scholar who's going to be in California because of another commitment and presentation. But
Yeah.
yes, that is the plan to honor them, bring them here, and you
Nice.
know, not so much put them on the spot to have a presentation. I don't want to do that. I want to
Yeah.
have them
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
honor their work. So
Yeah.
any even comments you have to maybe make that work better,
Yeah.
open to suggestions.
That's a really good look. That's a beautiful look.
Mhm.
All right, so we'll start winding down now. Is there anything else that y'all want to share about the conference? Just to give people more of an idea, just to get them out there because we got to get the people out there.
Mhm. Molly, anything you want to add that I missed?
Well, just go to our website, Ubuntu El Retorno, uh, forward slash BPPC. And all the information is going to be there. The ticket sales. We're also going to have stream like Dr. Moore says. So you have some options if you can't come down to Atlanta. Also the lodging for those that require. We are facilitating, and please hurry because the specials are ending soon.
Mm,
So if you want to get your tickets at a lower cost, you have to do it soon. And the lodging as well. You can get lodging if you have the ability to get lodging somewhere else, but by all means please do, and and come down. We promise you won't regret it. And of course we're going to be taking the conference every year to a different country so that we can bring our people together wherever they are and bring all the knowledge and the information that we're bringing and sharing, because our main goal is to unite us. And like we said, the pigment is what's going to unite us. No, not the culture, not the motherland, not the language. No, we're done with all that. Our pigment is what's going to unite us. And in unity, it's where the force is. If you remember in the 60s, we had the Black Panther and the Young Lords. When they were united back in those days,
yeah.
our oppressors, they knew
Yep.
what that unity was going to create and was going to cause. And they divided us by all means, with everything that they could, and they still continue to use that division against us. And we are here to say no more. We understand, we know what you're doing, and we understand who we are and where our force, our strength lies, which is in the unity.
Yes, very well said. Very well said.
Thank
Appreciate that.
you.
Much appreciated. So, well, Dr. Moore, I have a question
Mhm.
that I was thinking about as far as what age do you think we should start teaching children in the home about melanin?
Yeah, I think it really is the issue of identity. If you teach them about your identity from the womb,
Mhm.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, then melanin is going to fall into place. There's a brother named Wakesa Majumoa who has an AI institute here in Atlanta.
Mhm.
My goodness, he teaches them at the middle school level. And these kids right now are at places like Agnes Scott, MIT, scientists.
Yeah,
But that's not just the home, that's like in the school setting.
yeah, yeah.
So when they can start conceptualizing the way that science works, it's
Mhm.
much easier after they've already had an identity of knowing they are.
Yeah.
I just had a bad conversation with a colleague who's on our educational committee who said that somebody went to a school and the black teacher was telling these kids that Kwanzaa is like voodoo stuff. Don't be listening to that. Man, a black teacher said this.
Yeah. Well, he's programmed. He or she has definitely been programmed.
So we're in trouble. So we have to start early so the kids can be deprogrammed and not
Yeah.
fall into that trap.
True indeed. True indeed. Okay, cool and gang. On that note,
Yeah.
we're gonna take it out. But I just want y'all to go backstage and in the green room, and then let me just close the show, and then I'll come back to y'all.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Time.
All right. Happy family, another show. That was part 2. We had to get the brother back here for part 3 because there's a lot of stuff that we don't understand, and even though he explained stuff, I'm sure there's a lot of things we just didn't get. We had to take notes. We're gonna have to go research and come back and just do our due diligence. But again, make sure you share, get the information out there. Even if you have questions, later on down the line, you can go in the comments with your questions. If you want to add on to what Dr. Moore just presented, add on, because that's what it's all about. It's about, asking questions, getting answers, and adding on. All right. So take what you learned, apply it to your life, and just keep it pushing. All right. Peace. Stay happy.
Economics and politics are the foundation of human development.
While forming the world's earliest civilizations, Africans also laid the groundwork for the creation of economic systems.
By learning from our history, we gain the strength to empower the present and design the future. Presenting the premier forum for truth, culture, and change. HAPI Talks. Join us as we unlock the secrets to our success.